Sir Hayatou is named acting president of FIFA following the suspension of Blatter and UEFA president Michel Platini over corruption allegations. However, although it is good news for a CAF president to head the football governing body, a barrage of corruption allegations against 69-year-old Hayatou rather cuts a dense image for his leadership at the helm of affairs. Here in Ghana, calls for the Ghana Football Association to be probed for the association's use of millions of dollars in friendlies and other unaccounted expenditure all point to one thing: the game is corrupted. How do we clean up this mess? And how does Hayatou's role as acting FIFA president change anything for the African game? What can he deliver for the global game? This is today's big story with me, Stephen Enti. Now, today we are talking sports on today's big story, and as some analysts have put it, the football autocracy has taken root as CAF president now becomes acting head of FIFA. That's just by the way, but the serious issue are that one accused of corruption at the top is pushed away, and in comes another with his own backlog of allegations. Let me outline them. One, allegations that he took bribes in 1992. Allegations of illegal payments regarding award of contracts for the sale of television rights to the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Allegations that Hayatou was one of two FIFA Exco members to accept $1.5 million bribes to secure support for their bid for the 2022 Qatar World Cup. And in September 2011, Hayatou, while still under investigations for alleged bribery, was appointed president of the Olympic Committee by FIFA. His selection was later described as a technical error. He has denied all these allegations anyway. So does the future of FIFA really look good under Hayatou? Let's get onto the telephone lines now and do some analysis. Journalist Michael Oti Ejay is joining us. Michael, I'm very excited to have you join us. Good evening.
Good evening, Stephen.
So, Hayatou, now acting FIFA boss, what does that say, one, for the game in Africa and globally?
Well, I think that you have to put the presidency within the right context. Hayatou is president by virtue of seniority, basically. Now, the FIFA statute says that when the president is absent, the most senior vice president will get into that slot. You get into the position of senior vice president based on the configuration that you serve. So Hayatou is a vice president. Michel Platini was a vice president. The president of the South America Federation will be a vice president. And the other presidents will have various slots that they occupy. And because Hayatou has been FIFA president for so long, he, by virtue of the fact that he's been on the FIFA Executive Committee and a vice president of FIFA since 1992, then gets on to be that. So, ironically, this is becoming FIFA vice president is a function of something we've complained about so long, how long Hayatou has been in office, and merely by the statute that FIFA operates. But it does provide a significant moment, even if it will be for a few months up to February, because he said he will not stand in the elections itself.
That's right.
It provides a telling statement of how far African football has come. Most people would say significant in the last few decades. The continent has had an increasingly bigger voice in the way football is run, in the way World Cups are decided, because the FIFA presidency is elected for by the General Congress. Africa's larger numbers in terms of the electorate of FIFA has meant that the continent has become an increasingly influential voice. And I think that Hayatou becoming vice president, even if it's just by the statutes and the way it's built, is still a significant statement for how far the continent's football has come.
Now, he comes into this with a lot of, I don't want to call them a backlog, but he has experiences. There have been good ones and there have been bad ones. If we separate the numerous allegations that have been leveled against him, which he has denied really, and his track record, do you feel that being there by virtue of his seniority is still good news to be celebrated by the Confederation of African Football, CAF, and the African continent generally?
Well, I think the Hayatou, the constant allegations against Hayatou sometimes is almost like the one against the GFA. A lot of things said, very little proving at the end of the day. And that for me has always been the case. Apart from the IOC case you mentioned where he was made to stand down briefly, there's never been much found against him in concrete terms. A lot of it have been supposed sting operations. And if you see the way FIFA has operated, Jerome Valcke makes a mistake, he gets suspended. Blatter is suspended. In the last few years, all these FBI investigations for World Cup, for the award of World Cup hosting rights. And remember, in the past, a lot of foreign newspapers have suggested that Hayatou was one of those bribe-taking officials. And nobody has been able to put a finger on one specific payment in that instance that directly implicates him in those things. So I would imagine that in this case, it's purely a case of a man is innocent until proven guilty. Now, you would know that the Europeans have issued a statement standing behind Platini at the moment. So it's a bit tricky, I personally would think. But I definitely think that Hayatou comes with his own set of problems. I don't think he's developed African football in the way that it should have been developed. I think television has not played a role it is supposed to be played. That too much is focused on making money rather than expanding the game to the grassroots and making it a bit more popular. And I think he's got his own problems. But maybe you have to say, show me one person who's not. The South Korean who was president of the Asia Confederation for a long time is suspended for 6 years. The South Americans are mad in this. Chuck Blazer was an American who was neck deep into the corruption issues that has engulfed football. It's almost as if you're picking the one-eyed king in the land of the blind in this case. Whilst Hayatou may not be the perfect candidate, you look around him and it's difficult to argue that he doesn't deserve a shot at this.
So, quickly, Michael, before we let you go, your prediction from now till February, are you expecting any significant change in the football's administration and perhaps in any activities that the head might be influential in achieving?
I'm not sure. The FIFA operates in a funny way. Now, you've got Hayatou, who is the acting president, all right, but there's an executive committee. There will be an acting general secretary he will need to work with. Crucially, there will be a Congress. The major decisions will go beyond Hayatou. There may be things that the president can have control over. But if you study the system of FIFA, the presidents have become these overbearing life figures on the organization based purely on how long they've spent in the body. So Blatter's influence has grown as the years have developed. Then he builds territories. Then he expands the goal project. Then he does a lot of things that helps him to gain support in the crucial areas and confederations that will be required to endorse decisions that are made. And the same thing happened with Blatter's predecessor, Avalanche, where he increased Africa's slots and made the rest of the world feel a lot more involved. So every time there were major decisions to be made, they will back his case. Now, Hayatou has not got that long, so he's not got that long to be able to have policies that influences anybody. I think it will be more of a situation where FIFA works together as a unit to try to enforce reforms rather than Hayatou having any major influence. I would suggest that this appointment is largely more a ceremonial appointment, a figurehead that shows that the organization is running as it should be running. But it will depend on the structures existent at the moment to enforce reforms rather than just the presence and the so-called leadership of Hayatou.
Right, Michael, we're extremely grateful that you could join us on today's big story, especially that we got through to you at a very short notice. So we're going to get onto the telephone line, our own Patrick Osei Asare, popularly known as Songo, to join our discussion. But before then, I have Gary Al Smith here in the studio. Gary, how are you, sir?
Doing well, thank
Michael
you.
has elaborated the situation, has given us very rich insight into all the going-ins and out of FIFA's appointment of Hayatou as acting president as of today. But you, as a journalist who has been following all the back and forth, Michael raises key questions of allegations leveled against Hayatou, which have not been proven. But despite all that, you don't think it's necessary for the world, the rest of the world, to take these allegations in the context of whether he can fulfill anything at all as a substantive head?
Substantive head, that's what it is. It's just procedural. It's not as if he was appointed. It's just the law and the if you like, the appointment has fallen on his shoulders because of his position as the senior most vice president of FIFA. So there are certain levels of vice presidencies, but among them he's the senior most, and that's why he's taking the position.
And what do you make of that position and him in particular? I mean, it's not like it's like we didn't have any choice.
Yes,
right?
we didn't
By
have
the hierarchy he's supposed to be.
But so that's what it is.
But
they are going to make the best
out
of the out of, if you like, a bad situation. Michael made allusions to the fact that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And at FIFA, at that level, everybody there is a one-eyed man. Nobody has two eyes because they all have some level of rot going on with them. Now, if you take, to digress a bit, the UEFA situation, you know, Blatter as well as Platini were all suspended. It means that Platini is, as we speak, not the president of UEFA.
Yeah.
The man who has taken his place at UEFA also has had corruption allegations leveled against him in 2011 and 2013. So that's the way the situation is. Now, it's important for us to know that Issa Hayatou is going to occupy this position at least for only 90 days. Right.
Now, Gary, we're receiving reports that UEFA has defied the suspension, and so tentatively Platini is still in charge. What does this mean, the back and forth?
Anybody who follows world football knows that UEFA, especially under Platini, because of their power and because of the clout they wield in terms of the best clubs in the world, are maybe the only confederation who are able to say shut up to FIFA when FIFA says sit down. That's right. So that's what it is in simple terms. So going forward from this discussion, what we are going to see is really simple. And I was discussing with one of the British journalists was on Pulse earlier, and he was saying that Issa Hayatou is simply going to sit down and really call Blatter every day and give him a debriefing because they are political allies. So whatever happens in FIFA, while Issa Hayatou is the boss, he's going to debrief. And so not much is going to change. And let's not forget that even though Issa Hayatou is going to be there for 90 days, the ethics committee have the option of extending the period for 45 days as well.
Right, Gary, so like I said, UEFA has defied FIFA's suspension of Michael Platini on Thursday when it said he will not be replaced as head of European soccer's governing body and gave him its backing in the appeal process. The ethics committee of the World Soccer Body FIFA handed Platini a 90-day provisional ban earlier on Thursday, at the same time as giving an identical sanction to FIFA president Sepp Blatter. Now, FIFA moved quickly to replace Blatter with interim president Issa Hayatou and announced that Blatter was relieved of all duties, but UEFA took a very different stance. Under UEFA's rules, if their president is not available to conduct his duties, the highest ranked vice president of the organization takes over, but the European body declined to take that step. So I'm reading a quote that the UEFA Executive Committee saw no need at this moment in time to invoke Article 29(5) of the UEFA statutes. This is because the UEFA Executive Committee is aware that the UEFA president will immediately take all necessary steps to appeal the decision. So let me go to Songo. Gary, I'll give you a chance to respond quickly to that. But Songo is on the line now. Songo, good evening.
Fantastic evening. More fire.
Good. So I know that, I mean, you have been more like a campaigner against the rot that is happening within the GFA. But what is happening within GFA mirrors what has been happening in CAF and also what possibly has been happening in FIFA. I mean, I'm not an expert in that. Do you think this actually is the right time for investigations to open into all the GFA allegations and corruptions?
More fire and good evening to your listeners. More fire evening to them. Yeah, fantastic. Yes. When I talk about Sikedi Basa, that is chopping or eating money anyhow when it comes to football in the name of blasters, in the name of running the FA here in Ghana at the expense of the taxpayer, I know what I was trying to talk about or I was saying. You understand? From the top. I mean, this investigation should have started long overdue. I'm telling you. I mean, I know what I'm saying about. You understand? You talk about, is it going to transform here in Ghana? Look at FIFA Ethics Committee. They've been able to indict or suspend ban, that is FIFA president himself, the Ethics Committee. But come to Ghana here, several comments several actions.
So, Songo, I mean, you want an investigation, but what form should this investigation take, and who should be leading this investigation?
The FA president himself. It is the FA president himself.
So he should.
You understand?
How can, but Songo, how can he start investigation against himself, really?
When he lets transparency, that is when things are transparent at the Football Federation, that is the Ghana Football FA. You understand? When things are transparent, when people are not scared of him, when it is not an autocratic leadership, when it is not animal farm ruling, because you have a body called Ethics Committee here in Ghana, and you have an FA president who tells you that that is referees can take money and go and do the right thing. You understand?
Yeah.
And even the Ethics Committee here in Ghana can't call him to answer questions,
right.
or they can't call him to order. You understand? So it tells you that the Ethics Committee at the FIFA level, they've been able to stand strong, whether the Blatter is their man, whether he's their leader. What is going wrong in terms of corruption, they have to bring him to order. So that is what he has to translate here. He has to come to Ghana here. You understand? When it comes to our football, you understand, our FA.
So, do you think Yoko, for example, should start investigating GFA rather than maybe a committee from within?
Commission of
right.
Inquiry. When we came back from World Cup with that abysmal performance, that indiscipline, that basa, the spoiling of Ghana's name at the World Cup. When we have to defend the flag of Ghana, we have to be proud that we've taken Ghana to the World Cup. Rather, we are thinking about, taxpayers' money that we share in the form of coefficient. Nobody will sign. You understand?
Yes.
So we have the Presidential Commission of Inquiry.
They should look into it.
We have to make sure that we go speedily to what is in the report, so that the report can stand. The report should work. You understand? So that we can be able to eliminate some of this. That is what we have to do. So all Ghanaians should call for the Presidential Commission of Inquiry report should be able to stand, should be able to work.
Right. That's
should be able to, bring out all these problems, corruption in our football.
Songo, thanks very much for your time. Thanks very much. Songo is the host of Fire for Fire, and he's typically very, explosive. So, Gary, I know you have to go quickly. With this new development coming from UEFA, how is that going to pan out? I know you have told us the technicalities surrounding that, but what do you foresee is going to happen between UEFA and FIFA right now that Hayatou is in charge?
Well, it's a question of politics and power play. The card UEFA have just dealt is just to tell FIFA that we are behind our man solidly. We don't think there is enough evidence to indict him on anything, and so wait, and so we don't need to do anything. And so I expect that to answer your question more specifically, in the coming days, Platini is going to send his lawyers to bring out certain strong statements. He's going to make himself available for investigation so that if there's anything more that they feel that should be dug out, he's going to assist in the investigations, and then the investigations are going to continue. Again, it's important for people to understand that one, Issa Hayatou is not a substantive head of FIFA. He's only going to be there for 90 days. After that, Blatter is going to come back if they don't find anything, and business is going to continue as usual. So as we speak, the most important date in the FIFA calendar presently is next February, when the elections are coming. And for most of these things, you can follow it by checking what the sports betting companies are saying.
That's right.
So according to the sports betting companies, Platini is still a favorite to run. Prince Ali of Jordan is a favorite to become the next FIFA president, and also Issa Hayatou is a distant third. So, and Issa Hayatou, I have to say, sorry, just before I came in, has issued a statement that he does not intend to keep this job as a top job. That because the law has just allowed him to be there, he's just going to be there as a stopgap, and he's not going to do anything. He's just playing it safe.
Right, Gary, we're grateful for your time.
Okay, all right.
Thanks very much. So, Gary Al Smith is with us here at Joy Sports. Let's get quickly onto the other telephone lines and speak to Ernest Granting, who is also a sports journalist, currently the head of sports at Metro TV. Ernest, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Stephen.
It's nice to talk to you again. I mean, I know that all these issues involving Hayatou's appointment as as acting head of FIFA against the allegations that have been leveled against him is kind of raising key questions about the similar allegations of corruption against the Ghana's FA and the way forward for Ghana's FA. I mean, some analysts have suggested for investigations to be started into the FA's inability to account for some monies, etc., etc. What's your stand or stance on all of these, Hayatou, and the need for GFA to be probed?
I mean, first of all, we must appreciate the fact that if FIFA, which has succeeded all the getting its operations to a level where they have become so autonomous, so powerful. You are a small nation, or your country plays football, and you don't manage the level of interference from the state, from the government very well. The next moment, FIFA descends heavily on you. The next thing we hear is FIFA has suspended your country and you can't play football. FIFA has leveraged this very well over the years because we all know the popularity of the game of football. Every country wants to play. The member associations continue to grow all the time, including Southern Sudan, that recently became a member of CAF and of FIFA. So what point am I making? If FIFA has been this powerful, and all of a sudden probes are happening, FIFA is being investigated, personalities around FIFA, personalities who have been involved in the affairs of FIFA have been investigated highly. The last, how did it happen? And eventually it gets to the turn of Blatter, who has kept some amount of innocence, has always been that he is innocent of anything that is related to corruption or anything. All of a sudden is suspended conditionally by the case committee of the body he runs. So it's over. It opens up a discussion, and people then will begin to suggest that even if FIFA and Blatter is become a subject of investigation and what people refer to as massive cleanup,
that's right.
Why can't that come down to CAF, which is a regional federation or a confederation, and the Football Association?
That's right.
It's understandable when people say these things. And I'm sure that the calls are going to continue to grow for the Football Association of this country to be investigated, its activities brought to lot more, so that some more, as where the activities are known more to the public. Now, about Hayatou and the fact that he's going to be acting as president of FIFA for the next 3 months or 90 days, was expected. He's a senior vice president of FIFA. We all know that. But virtue of working as a president, she makes you automatically the vice president of FIFA. He's been serving there as since the late 80s, 88,
That's right. He's been there for 2 decades.
So what that means is that he's the longest serving confederation boss there on the FIFA executive committee or in FIFA. So automatically it makes him the man to take over from Blatter. Don't forget that even the last World Cup at under 20 level or so.
We don't have a lot of time. Let's move quickly into the GFA bits and the various allegations. I mean, the big allegations against Kwesi Nyantakyi himself over an amount of about $200,000 that government gave him to prepare for a friendly match to ascertain whether it was rightly applied. And then there is also the calls for investigations to find out how claims of losses totaling about 1.2 million during the matches involving Ghana and Cape Verde, Ghana, Nigeria, and Ghana and Togo. All these allegations are hanging over the FA boss's head. How is it that no concrete action like setting up of an independent investigative committee has started to find out what it is that can be found from these allegations? What is stopping anyone from digging into these corrupt allegations?
I'm not sure anybody is being stopped by anybody to delve into these issues and investigate. What's happening at the level of FIFA? Let's not forget that Blatter, in more than a decade, instituted what he has referred to as a very strong ethics committee that will continue investigating issues concerning FIFA and executives of FIFA who are found to have done anything contrary to what the investigation should be. Let's not forget that executives of FIFA have suffered punishment and expulsion from FIFA all these years. No, it's exactly me. And what that means is that FIFA itself has taken it upon itself to do that. So if anybody is raising issues against the Ghana Football Association, then that decision must be made, because the course will continue to grow. That decision must be made to investigate the activities of the Ghana Football Association and settle any doubt whatsoever we have about the activities of the Football Association. Who is going to do that? Will the Football Association set up an independent committee? Right. And when we say independent, purely independent committee that will take care of this, or we're going to get, or the FA is going to allow for some amount of government interference. I mentioned earlier that in the past, or a few months ago, what constituted government interference was very clear.
Right.
But because of what is happening there at FIFA, I'm sure government will have even more power. The state will have even more power. Critics of this, of Kofi Antichi's certification, would even have their voices grow keener and stronger, that the Football Association must be investigated. That decision must be taken as to who will conduct this independent investigation and what that will mean to the continuous running of football in this country. So we have gotten to that point where the decision has been made as regards who will take charge of that independent investigation. Right. I'm sure that's the reason we're not making the sort of headway. But let's not forget that in all of this, Blatter has not been found culpable for anything yet.
Yeah.
All this could come and go, and will return in 90 days, take over as FIFA boss until February 24, when the elections are done. You mentioned Michel Platini earlier. Let's not forget that Michel Platini is one who's also looking forward to becoming FIFA boss if possible. But the ethics committee that has provisionally suspended these gentlemen is the same body that will vet them before they go ahead to stand for election. So if the ethics committee, which is going to let you are not in good standing before at this point, it will be very difficult how you're going to go through the voting process. So it looks like everything is happening in world football.
Right.
Because people have not been sure about issues of voting patterns for the decision as regards where competitions are hosted, issues about funding and all that. And I'm sure this revolution may continue a long while.
That's right. And as we're grateful for your time on today's Big Story. That's how we end today's Big Story. And thanks for making time with us. Please enjoy the rest of our programs. My name is Stephen Enti.